Bam, we're live. Good morning, everyone. Jake Chapman, good morning. Brian Clark, what's up, dude? Chris, hey. Augustus, what's up, dude? Greg's in Hawaii, and it's 4 a.m. there, 7 a.m. here in California. I checked with him last night to see if he was going to make it. I'm not sure if he's going to. He said he would. But 4 a.m. is early. But, God, he's one of those dudes that gets up really early. You never know. You never know. Yes, I did tell my mom. Yes. Shit, I should start a thread with my mom and Haley. Like 2 months ago, this note went out to all the parents in this group my kids are in, saying a couple of the kids had lice, and I just ignored it. And then a month ago, it went out again. The note went out again. Hey, we found a couple more kids with lice. And then yesterday, I was looking at one of my son's hair, and I'm like, holy shit, that kid's got really bad dandruff. And then I was like, nope, that's not dandruff. That's lice. So I shaved their heads yesterday. I shaved them with a number 3, and someone told me I need to shave it with a number 1, and then hair lice. You have lice? You got it from my kids? Maybe. It's possible. And I asked my wife, I'm like, how come I don't have it? And she goes, because you don't wash your hair. Or no, it wasn't my wife who told me. Some guy at tennis told me. One of the family friends told me, how come I don't got it? He said, because you don't wash your hair. And I said, what do you mean? He said, they can't stick to the oils and grease I guess your hair naturally produces. They can't stick to that shit. So, but anyway, so today I was looking for today I'm going to, after the show, actually, I'm going to go sit outside and I'm going to shave their head with a number 1. And then I'm going to let them shave my head with a number 1. I was thinking about doing that live. You guys want to see that? Them shave my head. God, I have so much hair. It's going to feel so good. I had crabs before. Crabs are amazing. Crabs are cool. I had crabs in college once. It was fucking nuts. I'd go straight to Nazi on that haircut, baldy as me. Yeah, that's what someone told me. Just to go fucking crazy short. Eaton Beaver, good morning. Hey, and what my kids told me too, I told them yesterday, I was like, hey, I'm just going to shave you bald. And they said, oh, we don't want to do that. And I said, why? They said, we won't look good. I'm like, dude, it'll grow back like in fucking 5 seconds. Who cares? Yeah, I'm going to shave my head today. I'm going to let them shave it. I think I'll do it on Instagram Live. It'll be fun, right? Don't burn your head in Carson. I'll wear a hat or something. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think I should cut the beard too. I was going to just shave it all off. Just, you know what I mean? Just go whatever. Hey, you know what's weird is I don't even see people. Yesterday when they said that we don't look good, I was like, well, who do the people I know that I was bald? And I was like, I don't know anyone that's bald. And then I started thinking more, and I was like, oh wait, Caleb's bald, Tyler Watkins is bald, and Taylor Self is bald. But it's so weird. I don't even think of them as. I guess that's not even really a category. I guess I don't even see that for some reason, unless you have red hair. Red hair is like my kryptonite. Oh, my wife's sending me something. My wife is not going to shave herself bald. She's going somewhere where you pay like $200 and they guarantee they'll get everything out. So I don't see color. Jake Chapman. I definitely see color. Oh, you're bald too. You're bald. The only thing with being bald is that seems like that seems like that's a lot of fucking work, man. That is a lot. That looks like a lot of work. Oh, that's why he hates me. I'm a ginger. No, I love a ginger. I love a ginger. I love a ginger. I love red hair. What's up, Greg?
Buddy,
Good morning.
what do you know?
4 a.m. for you.
Yeah,
Impressive, dude. Damn.
it's 4 is easier for me than 7.
Because your house is quieter, or because you're
Yeah.
up that early? Oh, both.
Well, I start hunting for scholars at 7.
You mean kids to teach?
Yeah, because at that point they're like, I gotta have breakfast, and they'll use that from 7 to 10.
Hey, you have a cure for lice? My kids have lice.
Keep them away from kids with lice, I think.
Right. I was gonna shave them today. I was gonna shave them with a 1, and then I went online and tried to buy like any poison I could find, and of course they won't send it to California, right? So you got to get just all like the peppermint tea tree oil shit stuff. So I'm gonna shave their heads with a 1, and then I was told that if you just put olive oil in their hair, that basically it'll kill them. You think that's bullshit? It says they can't breathe, and then they can't stick to the hair. They can't breathe and they can't breathe. They can't hang out.
There's a South Park episode on lice that's excellent.
Is the cure in there?
Not exactly.
Tyler, now my head itches. Hey, let me tell you something. So yesterday we've been getting notes, Greg, from jiu-jitsu for like the last 2 months. Hey, this kid has lice. This kid has lice. This kid has lice. And then
What, naming kids?
no, but you know what I mean. Like, hey, so not naming
Okay.
them, but like, hey, this kid has lice, or some kid has lice in the class. And so, I've been just ignoring it. And then yesterday when I was, one of my kids was playing tennis, I looked over at his hair and I'm like, man, he has dandruff really bad. And I get dandruff really bad a couple times a year. Like when the weather changes, like as winter comes in and as winter goes out, I get really bad dandruff. So I'm like, oh, he must have really bad dandruff. And then I was looking, I'm like, God, all those pieces of dandruff look exactly the same size. So then I looked up lice and I'm like, nope, that's not, dandruff. And then I immediately started itching. You know what I mean? Soon as he saw, does lice gross you out? I think it grosses my wife out. It doesn't faze me at all
Yeah,
for
it's
some reason.
disgusting.
Oh yeah, it doesn't faze me at all. Why do you think it's disgusting? Just because it's bugs?
Yeah.
And they're drinking your blood? Is that what they do? They drink your blood?
I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, I ordered a giant bottle of Cetaphil from Amazon too. Use Cetaphil. It works on my daughter. Had lice a few times. Oh yeah, you've got it. So people don't like it.
It's just really, how does that work?
It
Because I
once
like
again.
the products.
Once again, it suffocates. You just put it in the hair. I read like for the 10 top cures for lice, it was like number 3. And basically you put it in their hair and you just soak their hair in it. And basically, once again, it says because they can't breathe, it clogs up their ability to breathe, and it makes it so they can't attach to the hair.
In my sense, someone will look it up and correct me here hours before dawn, but I think that Cetaphil is like a diatomaceous natural
Poison?
It's the properties by which it acts are physical, not chemical. If I can make that distinction this early.
You mean how it inhibits them it physically inhibits them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, I asked my wife, I'm like, well, the boys climb into my bed every night. How come I don't have it? And she said, and then I asked one of the parents that, and they said, do you wash your hair? I said, never. And they said, because, my hair smells like cat piss.
Yeah.
and you don't have to agree so quickly. And
Bro.
he said they can't attach when you have greasy hair, they can't attach to the hair. I was like, oh. But I always thought it was the guys with the dreadlocks that always had the lice.
You went racist just like that.
White people have dreads too. Hey, someone in here said dogs carry lice. I asked about that too, and they said no, dogs don't get lice. I'm gonna Google that real quick. Do dogs get lice? Yes, dogs can get lice. Oh shit. They feed by chewing or sucking blood. Chewing. And live around the hair shaft. Oh shit, you're not gonna like this, Greg. They also live around wounds and drink the blood from wounds.
Why not?
I still have a wound from being at your house from your me trying to start your log splitter. Oh well.
What, you trying to start with your head?
Yeah. It's funny that machine is so gnarly and big and scary and ferocious, and I hurt myself just on the fucking pull cord. I pulled the cord, and then when I brought my hand back, it hit the engine. I fucking took a chunk out of my finger. What did you think of the What did you think of the BSI event at your house? I thought it was like one of the best ones.
Yeah, thank you. I felt at home.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Mike Artunian's been to 3 or 4, and he thought it was the best one.
He's cool.
And the group of people
I
there.
wonder where the message is going. Not in terms of where the message is going, but in terms of receiving.
Like how if people are able to
I don't
remember
know.
it, process it.
Yeah, yes. The hope would be that he says this is the best one, is that he understood the most, and that if we'd done it in a different order, it would have been the best one too.
Right. Whether he's able to take what he learned and apply it to things he sees in the world.
Like, whoa, I get it. You know the image that's the optical illusion that's an old lady or a young lady, depending on how you see it.
Yeah.
It's a young lady looking away, quarter turn away, and it's an old lady if you're looking towards you.
Yeah.
And once you see one, it's hard to see the other until you can see them both, and your brain can just deal with that, right?
Yeah.
Well, things are that way. Math problems are that way. Music is that way. Proofs are that way. All of math is like that.
So here,
once you see it, the next time you're exposed to it, you'll see it again. But it might even take a while, but it'll take less time than it did the first time.
oh yeah, I can do it now. I can see the young lady and the old lady. I can go back and forth.
Right.
But it took me a second. Her chin is her nose.
Yeah, I see it as like the old lady is a quarter turn our direction, and the young lady's a quarter away.
Oh yeah, okay. I see that, like 45 degrees.
Yeah, yeah.
To the right. The young lady's 45 when the old lady turns her head 45 degrees to the right, she turns to the young lady. Wow, I never saw it like that. That's your math brain?
I don't know what that is, but I know that there are things that have a complexity to them until you fucking kind of figure it out. And then it's like, then you can't unsee it. And even if you took 15-year hiatus, the next exposure wouldn't take as long until you can just kind of see it. And then there's some point where you can't see what can't be seen.
Yeah.
And at that point, the transmission of that notion and your ability to do so is kind of determines your chops as a teacher.
So you're saying that once you start embodying or start really comprehending the elements of broken science, when you see things or someone presents something to you, you start thinking of it in terms of the steps. I wonder what they observed. I wonder what they measured.
I'm
I wonder what
not bragging about the effect. I'm just talking about wrapping yourself around the simplicity and then later the utility of observations become measurements, and forecasts of measurement is a prediction, and its validation is the sole criteria of validation, the source of the objectivity and the rational basis of our trust in science. Oh, that was good for 4 fucking a.m.
Yeah, forecast of measurements is step 3. What's step 4?
Well, it's kind of a turnaround and go, that is the validation. The accuracy of the forecast is the validation. And that is the basis of rational trust. It is the very essence of the objectivity.
Hey,
kind
that's it. That's how you arm yourself, people. The observation, the measurements, the forecast of the measurements, the validation of the accuracy of the forecast, and that then is the basis of the rationale of your trust.
yeah,
Every time your
until
wife goes out, she's coming back. Every time your wife leaves the house, she comes back and she's high, and therefore you know she went and got fucking drugs from the corner guy. Every time your wife texts, she leaves the house, she comes back and her skirt's disheveled.
oh,
I,
came back with the milk, but lost your panties.
yeah, yes, yes, yes. Their observation, the measurement.
Yeah, you start to wonder.
You get another data point. You go open up her phone and read her text messages.
We were told that we needed to shut down our schools, quit our jobs, and stay indoors, and that science was delivering those prescriptions. And the truth of the matter is that science can't even get close to anything like that. That's not what science does. Now, your decision to quit your job, to keep your kids from school, or to wear a silly mask, you could there could be some elements of science in the decision, but in the end, it's a risk benefit analysis that has elements significantly outside of the purview of science. It has economic issues completely outside of the purview of science. It has moral, educational, value issues. If you think you can tell me the value of an education in scientific terms, you're a fucking idiot, and you're probably in an education department at somewhere like Harvard, and you should be avoided at all costs. And your kids are probably ill-educated, if not criminals.
Can you give me some other example? Would an example be the weatherman tells you it's going to rain, and then they pass
No,
a
I'm
law
just
saying
telling you that science can't tell you to fear or disease or not,
right?
to accept to accept the risk of the treatment or not. That's not what science does.
They can't tell you to take an umbrella just because it's raining.
I
Just because the
can't
prediction is it's going to
translate
rain.
I can't translate the science can't deliver the answers between the societal, educational, and moral costs in response to a disease.
So
It's a more important decision than a scientific one.
Let me give you an example that's going on in your house, if you don't mind me telling your personal life.
We'll
Your
see.
wife drinks raw milk. You don't, based on the data that both of you have the data. For her, it's not a she doesn't see her judgment is it's not a risk.
I drink raw milk when I'm milking the cow. When some nose-picking hippie is fucking milking the cow and telling me that they milked it today, I'm not having any thank you, all right?
Especially when we buy it from the gas station.
Being
That's the only place you
pregnant or
can get it
not
in
would
Santa
also
Cruz.
impact my interest in nose-picking hippie fucking claim to be raw milk. I don't know that those that purvey that shit aren't pouring $7 a gallon milk into fucking glass bottles, jerking off into it and charging me 15 and claiming
Right.
it's raw.
Right.
It's not that it's my problem isn't with raw milk, it's with those that touch it.
But is that part of does that fit under that what you're saying about science? Like the 4 steps to, kind of the 4 steps that get you to basic rational trust, and then making a
Well,
decision
there
based
are all
on
kinds of
what.
rational things that are outside of the realm of the observation of outside of the registration of the real world on our sensors or sensing equipment, tied to a standard scale, etc. That process is a little bit rigorous. Some of these things, like the value of ISR was
Uh-huh.
kind of an interesting for us, a real world example, and
Infant
that
resource swimming.
uh, yeah, what is it? Infant
Inf
swim resource
yeah. Oh,
ISR.
infant swimming resource, yeah.
Yeah. The the challenges in proving the value of floating versus sinking children is kind of a rough thing to show. Like, as in exceedingly tough. Because what happens is the people that have been through that put 10 minutes a day, 6 days a week for 6 weeks into that effort against a screaming, crying kid at enormous expense and often some travel time. And that commitment to your kid not drowning and the impact that has on the family, the awareness of it, that you go through that, all of that puts you in such an outlier position that we don't know how to find the equivalent. We'd have to take children in large numbers from people, tell them not why we were doing or what we were doing, and abuse some cohort in some manner 10 minutes a day. I mean, the experiment is inconceivable. And it left people that are advanced in the uh, weapons research area of engineering. It left them a little bit flummoxed as to what it was we were trying to do and what the value was in showing that floating children are better than sinking ones. And my dad's view was that if you need this demonstrated to you, you should probably have your children taken from you. And he wondered what it is we thought science did and why you did science. But I can't. It's this isn't significantly adjacent from my. I'm willing to go to the town hall debate on free speech, but I'm going to bring a gun in case we lose the argument. Most of the things most important to me don't have scientific rationalization, and that includes and that excludes religion. I'm not a religious guy, so I can imagine what that looks like to someone who is religious.
Let me ask you this. Maybe this is this question works. What isn't science? What's outside the domain of science? Just any of the any decisions based on the prediction? That's not where science, like, science
No,
can tell you.
it's this trade-off. How much measles do we avoid to protect the third grade?
Mhm.
What does that number look like for you? And I don't think that's a necessarily a rational decision. It may be in the sense that you're armed with the data, but for some people, the information of the third grade isn't worth any risk, and for some, it's essential. I'm more on the essential side. I think what we did to our children in the school is it's unfathomable. We won't. The damages of COVID will be long gone, and we'll be suffering from a generation of fucking nitwits that are doing things like I don't know what.
Punching a hole in their septum.
No, protesting for terrorists
Right.
at our universities. These are the kids that didn't get to graduate from high school because of COVID. Now look at what they're doing in the university.
This isn't
And
so much different, though, than what was happening in the
you
60s,
can't.
right?
What's that?
This isn't so much different than what was happening in the 60s, though, right?
Yeah. Some of the rhetoric was similar, but the free speech movement and what the kids were protesting for, it didn't feel it, it we were worried that it was Marxist, but it wasn't. What we have now is obviously worse.
Right. Meaning the premise of the Vietnam War is, hey, this country is they're trying to turn this country into a totalitarian country. They're trying to turn it into a communist country.
The people,
We don't. We're going to help the people fight it.
These people are screaming, "Kill the Jews,"
Mm-hmm.
and arguing and claiming a genocide. What a crazy thing to do.
Yeah.
This is like charging some populist nitwit with bullshit crimes in the name of democracy, because if he gets on the ballot, he's going to get more votes than your guy. It's like mutilating children's genitals and calling it gender affirming some fucking how, healthcare some fucking how. And science isn't going to fix any of that. We only have science because there are things that are more important to us than science. How do you like that? Like education, truth, honesty.
Right.
You know, I love this. You know where the greatest country on earth for gender affirming healthcare? It's Iran.
No shit.
You get caught sucking a dick in a public restroom, and they're going to affirm they're going to give you some healthcare that affirms your gender. They're going to chop your dick off, give you a vagina, and now you're okay to fuck and be fucked. Now you can suck a cock, and it's not a sin.
Is Iran really the leader in gender affirming care?
Yes, they do more gender affirming healthcare than everyone else combined. I found that by accident, research accident. Once you've had your balls, once you have your junk cut off, your homosexuality isn't.
Iran is the only Islamic country that recognizes reassignment surgery. The Guardian has called Iran a global leader for sex change. Many European citizens travel to Iran for gender confirmation and reassignment, which is code for genital mutilation.
You can have it done at the airport, dude.
Wow.
No, I made that up, but I like the idea. You can get dialysis at U.S. airports.
Tehran is the world's hub for sex reassignment surgery.
They're global leaders. They write papers on it and shit. How to chop off a cock, you know?
Oh, wow. Do you know what the Economist is suggesting? They suggested in 2019 that the reason for that, it's what you said. They claim that they don't have any gay people in their country, so when someone is gay, you're right. They reassign, they chop off their genitals.
Yep.
Holy shit. In order to maintain their truth that there are no gay people there. That's fucking amazing.
No, I mean, I think that it's been determined scripturally that you're no longer sinning.
Iran is a paradise for trans people. It's one of the leading countries in the world for transgender surgery.
Yeah.
They carry out more sex reassignment surgeries than any other country in the world.
See? Why, of course, Sebby. I understand you can get a lobotomy there too. I made that up, but I like it.
Iran, I put leader in gender affirming care. I'm gonna put leader in
Sebby,
beheading and see if
you're gonna chop off hands for thievery, why not chop off a cock for cocksuckery?
Wow.
Science isn't gonna fix that shit, Sev. If I can loop back around to our subject.
Because why aren't they going to fix that?
It has to do with issues of culture and values, and it's not science that has me protecting my children, loving my wife, wanting a better world.
Dildo really likes your.
Risking my own safety to protect someone else. That's not science. I would maintain that absent those things, there is no science. That it would be a cultural kind of prerequisite. You have to steal science.
What do you mean by that? Steal science.
North Korea, China, Russia.
Uh.
Unlikely to develop what you can steal because you're too busy keeping your people in this shithole condition they live. Not sharing my values. We live in a system that is so critical of itself, and it's critical of itself by standards that are unique to the culture you're criticizing.
Say that one more time.
We live in a culture and a society
Mm-hmm.
that is uniquely self-critical, and it criticizes itself by standards unique to the very culture that it's being self-critical.
Mm. That's a fucking a riddle.
Yeah, it's a disaster. You can make a big list of all the things wrong with America and then decide it's the worst place in the world. But the problem is that it has less of those things you dislike than anywhere else on earth.
Right.
There was a great local instance of this, and there was a thing I read in National Review, 15, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And it was that Oregon decided that it was going to do everything in its power to not develop in the manner of LA. And so they set about an objective criteria of things, education, air pollution, that were all somehow linearly or otherwise dependent on population. And so their decision was they articulated what was, in their view, the disaster of Los Angeles. And then it broke that down into some very real kind of issues, partitioned it, and then when it spent, I think the number was tens of millions of dollars in years on a junket, traveling the world, trying to find the place and the policies that were least like Los Angeles. And the hilarity of this effort was that in the end, the thing least like LA was LA. It had less pollution than any city of its size. It had less crime than any city of its size. It had more opportunity than any city of its size. They were going to do everything they could to be as less like LA as they could possibly be by some objective criteria, and then went on a search to find the place most like that, and the place most like not like LA was LA. Good job. Good job, fucktards. Look at Portland today. Look at it today. The trajectory was clear. The trajectory was clear in the 90s, in the 80s.
I'm so glad you bought a home in Portland, because what a transition we saw it go through.
Oh,
wasn't that
dude.
amazing? We would go there 4 times a year, for 10 years, and we got to watch it. Literally turn into what's the show? The Walking Dead. We literally saw it turn into The Walking Dead.
I could cry thinking about my home, both in terms of how much I loved it there, how beautiful that neighborhood was, what it turned into, and the poor fucking family fleeing San Francisco that bought that fucking home only for it to turn into what they ran from. I think I'd be embarrassed to meet them.
Greg's neighborhood surrounded. It was a massive neighborhood of huge, beautiful, fucking like old.
It was at Siskiyou and 15th on the north east corner, one off the corner. In a home that was
craftsman style.
It was a craftsman style home, and it sold at 4,500 square feet. But the thing is, that didn't include the attic, nor did it include the basement. And those were at least as livable.
Oh, I lost you.
Had
You froze.
oh,
You're gone. Greg's in Hawaii, by the way, people. That's why it's dark there, and that's why his
shit,
connection's so
really?
bad.
Am I back?
You're back. You're back. Okay, so 4,500 square feet didn't include the basement or the attic.
Yeah, and so and those spaces, both the attic and the basement, were every bit, if not more, livable than the partition normal space included in the house. So it was fundamentally for by my standards a 4-story, 9,000 square foot home
Right.
in a neighborhood that in 1890 to 1910 was developed with bike paths, walking paths, you know, call it paseos, pick your name, to the big park, Irvington Park, which was kind of a an amazing place. So I could walk my dog, and in a space of 15 minutes, my dog could be chasing squirrels in a city. It was great. And now that, or at least since I was there, that park is a
Drug encampment.
campground for the homeless.
It was
They set fire
basically
to the police station in Northeast.
damn.
And we used to talk about, like, well, whatever's going on in the Southwest, it won't cross the river. Then it crossed the river.
It was basically 10,000 of the most beautiful craftsman style homes surrounding one of the coolest parks, community parks you've ever seen, with a Whole Foods there and coffee shops and a bird feed store and just cool shit. And then it just turned into zombie land because the police stopped enforcing anything. Um, Greg, have you hung rings from those beams yet? Which beams? He's getting
We're
ready to
here for 2 weeks.
rings.
It's a bit excessive, but I have vacationed with rings before and strung them. Remember that we did that when we were at. Remember when we came to Kauai?
I remember one time you were on a trip to Hawaii. This is probably 10 years ago, and you brought rings with you. I wasn't on this trip, and you hung the rings in a tree, though. You sent me a picture, and then I talked to you on the phone later, and I'm like, "What's up?" You're like, "I fucked my shoulder up." I said, "Why?" You said you were trying to do a front lever out of a tree with rings or something. Do I remember that story right?
Yeah, almost. It was a back lever,
Back lever. I'm
which is
like,
like the
dude.
silliest way ever to hurt your shoulder as a gymnast. I mean, inconceivable. And you know what's funny is the the uh the audible pop
Oh,
and
man.
the repositioning of the shoulder preceded the pain by about 3 seconds. But I had enough sense to let the fuck go. And it was traumatic and sensation. Um, Initially the noise, the sensation, and then later the pain. But my thought was, like, I'm fucked. And then I thought, well, not if I can jump up and do a muscle up. So I did a few muscle ups after that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And so I was like, wow, it should be fine.
Nothing like testing the shoulder out with a couple muscle ups.
Whatever. It's fucked. It's fucked. But I could do a muscle up and it was fucked.
I don't know what brought me to this. Someone said something in the comments, or you did, but this says, "What kind of society do you want to live in inside the country where Down syndrome is disappearing?" And it says, "With the rise of prenatal screenings tests across Europe, the United States, the number of babies born with Down syndrome has significantly decreased." But I think Iceland, they're claiming Iceland has completely eradicated Down syndrome by aborting all the babies. I know someone who was told that their kid was gonna have Down syndrome, and they didn't abort it, and the kid was, not did not have Down syndrome. 100% termination rate, you think, reflect about the Icelandic society. What does the 100% termination rate, you think, reflect about the Icelandic society? It reflects a relatively heavy-handed genetic counseling.
Ah.
I worked with I lived with 2 Down syndrome people, a man and a woman for 5 years. I lived in their driveway in a car. That's not an easy life to have Down syndrome. The hard part is that they know that they have Down syndrome, right? They're not oblivious to the fact that they're different.
Yeah,
I
it's
talked to a
rough.
guy I talked to a guy the other day and, uh, at my kid's swim practice, and he has a son who's 19 years old who has autism, and I was like, "So, does he know about girls?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, It's just pure it expresses in pure violence." And I was thinking about that. Imagine being 19 years old and having no outlet or no option to pursue women. That sounds like hell, doesn't it? To have just the
It's
option of
a
courtship completely taken out of your life, but having all the hormones that crave it.
it's a force so powerful. Imagining its diversion is like imagining a car going off the highway at 100 miles an hour. Where could it end up? God knows.
Right, right. Uh, that's so good. Uh,
Like
you
these,
know
like
what?
this, the involuntary celibate, the incels.
Yeah.
That's a scary fucking thing. The no
I
pussy
like
for me army.
Travis Bagent told me one time, if there's anything a man does sexually that
Careful on this.
surprises okay. If there's anything a man does sexually that surprises you, you don't understand men at all. Like, you should there's nothing a man could do that if you understand a man what a car can do going 100 miles an hour off the road, and it surprised you that, like, everyone was thrown from the car, you don't understand the phenomenon.
Yeah, it ended up in the third story of the apartment building.
Yeah, it's like uh, anything's possible. Hey, this now we're way off subject, but that also comports with what you told me one time. You and I were in a foreign country one time, and we're driving down the street, and there were 20 young men like kneeling down, like squatting, like just hanging out on the corner in front of a gas station. And you said, you know what that is, Sevi? And I said, what? You go, that's trouble. When you have that's the fucking collapse of a society when you have men 20 years old who have nothing to do. And it's related to that phenomenon that you're saying. Like, hey, uh, it's a car going 100 miles an hour with no one at the wheel, no direction.
Excuse me. I remember driving with God, what was that guy's name? But we went to 3 or 4 different ATMs, and like, oh, not this one. There were guys.
Salum, Maruthi.
Saloon, yeah.
Yeah.
We drive to an ATM and there's nothing. There's no lights anywhere.
This is
Just the
in
car.
Africa.
Yeah, and we go to an ATM and there's a bunch of youth standing around the ATM, and we can't go here. And I'm like, yeah, you think? It looked like robbers. And then we finally found one, and there were people around it, and some were sleeping in the dirt. And I'm like, this one? Yeah, this one's good. And I'm like, who are these people? And he goes, oh, those are the police. And they were just like laying in the dirt, laying on the sidewalk, all sleeping. Excuse me, pardon me, stepping over cops in Levi's and fucking white t-shirts with with ARs. Trippy.
Jeffrey Birchfield, is it they have nothing to do or too lazy to do anything about it?
Tell me the difference.
I mean, basically, you need a dad at home to fucking keep the boys on track. You need a dad in your life to keep you on track. And I'm not saying it can't happen if that's the only way.
Opportunity is created not given. It's created out of the assemblage of chaos that is seen as having no value to everyone, no value to anyone, everyone. So you get this random pile of shit, and the entrepreneur turns it into something. And that random pile of shit looks like available labor, raw materials, manufacturing process. And it's something that anyone could have done, but no one did. And so this nothing to do or too lazy to do anything about it, that's the same thing. That's not an or, it's a yes. They have nothing to do because they're too lazy.
Greg and I know this young man, handsome, capable, strong, tall, didn't have a dad in his life. And he basically uses all of his time to be an entrepreneur in the skate scene in Santa Cruz. And he's a great kid. He does skate camps. He does, he puts flyers on people's cars. He's extremely personable to anyone who walks into the skate park. He says hi to them. He always has a skate tool ready. He's basically taken this skate park in California and kind of anointed himself as the godfather of that skate park and the docent of that, even though it was, it's not any official rule for the city. And now everyone in the town knows him. You know what I said to him one time, Greg? I also said something to him one time about, I mentioned something about some chick being hot. And he basically said, yeah, when I'm on the job, I completely turn that off. Like, I don't see any of that. I'm really impressed by that kid. You like him?
Well, now I do. I mean, how the hell do you do that? No, it's
I mean,
cool. He's a good kid.
I mean, you know him, right? I mean, you like him, right? I mean, it's an impressive. I mean, that could have gone sideways for him in Santa Cruz. Like, you trust him with your kids and shit, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And when I first met him, he wore a mask and gloves when he would teach skateboarding. I slowly talked him out of that.
A mask and gloves.
I'm like, dude, I never thought I'd be your friend. He's all, why? I'm like, dude, remember you used to wear a mask and gloves when you taught skateboarding. He goes, I just did that because the parents requested it. Fuck that. Trish doesn't believe you that you trust him.
I actually do.
When is the do you after you do a Broken Science event like that, and you reflect on it, well, I'm assuming you reflected on it. Is there any changes or anything you wish would have been different, or do you have plans for the next one? And this was the first one where there were usually it's filled with more. I don't know what the word is. Let's say academics. And this time it was filled with more laymen, right? People maybe who were hearing things for the first time.
Yeah, it was just a wait list of people. Really, there wasn't another discrimination. A lot more unknowns.
And how did you like that? Were you good with that? What did you think about the vibe?
Yeah, the one part of this we had David Hassanen's chem, and I said when the inventor of space vector geometry shows up, crashes your event. That's pretty cool. And this time it was Rick Johnson,
Right.
and long before him showing up, I thought that his demonstration of fructose through uric acid production as an intermediary starts the unregulated production of AMP. I thought that to be potentially, and I can come back to that qualification, but it is significant a medical discovery or demonstration has been done in my lifetime. And to have him come to this one, absent a reach out on my part, was pretty cool. And to see his reception of it, was exciting enough that I selfishly kind of figured I was done at the point that he grinned ear to ear and said, "I'm really glad you're doing this," reiterated what I was saying, and said he was so glad he showed up. And seems obviously sincere about it. I was like, okay, let's start the mariachis early and have tacos. And so that might have been a little unfair to everyone, but I'll take that.
It was a great Q&A though afterwards. It was a great
You know,
the Q&A went longer than the talk.
yeah, when Einstein shows up at your physics camp and tells you what a good job you're doing, you call it quits. Like, what are you going to
Yeah.
follow up with? What?
At the previous event, there were at least 20 people there with PhDs, and there were a handful of people there with double PhDs. And when I mean double PhDs, I mean people like who had were biology and math. You know what I mean? There was no. I'm not talking about sociology PhDs. At this one, there were probably the fewest number of PhDs at any event you've given. I just used that as a metric to just say that they were smarty pantses. Did that? And I also felt like you knew your audience, and so you made your up palatable to that group, which is kind of unlike you. Usually you're like, fuck it, I don't care if anyone understands me, I'm just gonna fucking tell it like it is. You know what I mean? Like and half the people in the room are like, no, sorry, 3/4 of the people in the room are like, what's a p-value? Is that?
Yeah.
No, you don't think that's a fair characterization of it?
I think I've done a pretty good job of communicating to an accessible level, and yet at the same time I know that I've made a point, um, both in practice and in statement, of addressing the smartest people in the room. And I know there's a value to, if you're in a group of 15 people and there's 3 smart dudes, making eye contact with them as you begin your case and hoping they can help in the dissemination downstream to those less interested and able to listen or follow. And you could actually see that in the digital space, in a blog and comments, where there was a ready audience of people. Dale Sarin was one, that could clear up misconceptions out of something that was succinct, accurate, and dense for the sake of clarity, and it was so, and then help others wrap themselves around what was being offered. And so I understand what might even be a criticism. I think Jocko had said to Dave on the pod, at least I heard this from a couple of people, that I spoke over everyone's head.
Probably. Grace, wasn't the one in Arizona mostly laymen, right, Sevan? I was there and uber thankful to make it. I wouldn't say so. I would say everyone sitting at the round tables was either a PhD or
Is
if they
Grace talking about the one in
oh, the one that was at the hotel.
yeah, at the Biltmore?
Okay. Oh, you're right. And that one, you're right. Okay, that one was probably 50-50. But this last one we went to Greg's house, man, if you weren't a PhD, you were some fucking attorney that had argued something in the Supreme Court. And it was great. It was still great, and it was still palatable, and there was tons of grabs for fucking people like me, takeaways. And then the Q&A the second day the discussion the second day was absolutely amazing. But this one at his house, I think people got stuff that they were like, okay, I'm gonna apply this shit to my life. Like, wow, thank you. Kind of like CrossFit, like stuff that you knew that was true, but you needed someone to put into words for you. Like, hey, you're supposed to squat below parallel. We were talking about you and I were talking on the phone yesterday or the day before about what is fitness versus, then you were talking about what is science.
Indeed.
And is that something you're going to pursue? That
Yeah, I'm on that. I mean,
s-
it needs to be done. And interestingly, for me at least, I hope I can make it interesting to others. Um, one of the critical essences of science is that it has to be very clear as to what is outside of its space. We were talking about that earlier, and so science needs to be clear about what it doesn't know in order to be clear about what it does know.
and what is it that it doesn't know?
Things outside of the space of uh, observations of the real world that register on our senses or sensing equipment tied to a standard scale with a well-characterized error known as an observation, um, turned into a prediction of a unrealized event or measurement given a set of conditions that also includes a measurement. So that forecast of a measurement and the predictive uh, strength of it being at the essence of its validation, um, creating its objectivity and being the only basis for our trust in it. That's a unique space that science sits in, and there's a lot outside of that, and a lot of it's important too, and a lot of it involves logic, and you can approach things scientifically with a scientific mindset that may not be amenable to the scientific method.
For instance,
Well, anything you're telling me that you looked at this COVID thing, and it doesn't seem to you to be a problem with a significant threat to children, and your suspicion is that just given the plausibility of it and what you're able to glean, in spite of what you're being told by public health authorities, it seems to be the risk seems to be at those that are already at inordinate risk due to their age, infirmity, and chronic disease. And you weigh that against the values, the importance of the third grade.
Is it working?
yeah. Hold on one second. You weigh
Me,
that against.
the what you
Hey, can you hear me now?
what
Go
you
ahead. I'm not
assume to
going to
be
talk.
the should I keep going?
Yeah.
What you assume to be the values, the value of a third grade education and the socialization and the normalization of, the problems with your kid wearing a mask, and you opt out. And
That's the part that's not the science part that science shouldn't be weighing in on, the opt in or opt out. That's the
the
demarcation right there that you just crossed.
the the deciding what to be afraid of, what not to be afraid of, and what sacrifices are worth making and not worth making, what risks are worth taking and not worth taking. Those things can be informed by science, but in the end aren't scientific decisions. And the scientist should not be driving the fucking car.
Mm.
That's a backseat position, rendering advice and thought and inputs. How many lives is worth destroying the economy? That's not a scientific question.
Mm. Is it okay to make a generation of kids that don't know how to read to save people who are 82 years old and over with 17 months to live at max?
Correct.
That's
Engage
not a
in a
scientific decision.
lifetime of deleterious behavior, who have pursued with passion the root cause of their demise, whose sedentarism and consumption of carbohydrates has been the defining fucking satisfaction of their life. How many of those are worth my kid graduating from fucking college after having missed their high school graduation to think that you support Hamas because you're against genocide.
What do you think's going on there, by the way? This is a little bit of a pivot. So I heard the other day that basically anyone who's perceived as the victim, even outside of logic, gets the attention of those people. Like they don't even care. It could be they don't even, they just perceive them now as the victim because they're getting beat up by the Israeli
Help
army.
me get past chopping off your penis to affirm your gender and calling that healthcare. Help me with that.
Right. I can't. And I've tried to listen to any explanation of it too, and that there isn't one. It just because they turn it into word fuckery.
Oh yeah, when you're listening, you're fucking up. It's like that scenario thing that Maggie went to where the cops turn off the lights and you hear a gunshot or a window break or whatever, and you're given a gun and you got to address the thing.
Yeah.
And the setup each time in the cop who's playing the bad guy is he won't quit fucking talking. And that was the prelude to you being disarmed, is the explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Maggie, I ever catch you in the living room and they have too much to say, I'm shooting them in the fucking head.
Right. Well, that's what George Floyd did too. Just wouldn't stop talking.
Yeah. You start with "shut the fuck up" or I'm going to shoot you. You know.
Yeah.
Get down on your knees. Don't look at me.
The same reason Amazon's insurance policy isn't willing to cover a change in oncology medication to keep someone with cancer at home and not in an inpatient setting for treatment 3 times weekly. Damn, I wish I could remember exactly what that was in response to. Jay Wade reminds me of climate scientists tweeting, "We need to cull humans to save the humans, cull billions to save millions."
Yeah, the essence of the political environmental movement is to see humans in everything we do, including what we off gas as a pollutant, right? I mean, look, you exhale carbon dioxide. Oh, you're a factory for pollution.
Mm.
My favorite thing about all of that is that where do these people live? They all live in cities that I consider uninhabitable because of what they've done to the environment. Anyone living in New York City should be embarrassed to complain, worry, or express concerns or fear about any environment.
It's like weighing in on how to keep your neighbor, how to keep their house clean when your house is just just fucking shithole mess.
It's a hoarder writing a book on tidiness.
Right.
Kat Mulvaney, a book on child rearing. Oh, oops. I didn't say that. When you told me she died, I was like, don't shut the fuck up. No way. A kid just came over and shit on my floor. 3 years old, you know? Like, wow. Of course.
Hey, what do you have any thoughts on autoimmune diseases?
Yeah, don't piss off your immune system. And refined carbohydrate is an outstanding way to do so there. And most everything else past that is a little bit boring for me.
What is an autoimmune system? It's basically your immune system. It's nothing specific about the immune system. It just means it's out of whack. It could be too aggressive. It could not be working.
Your immune system has identified some constituent of your essence to be toxic and goes after you.
Something that's not toxic in relationship to you need it for your existence.
Essential.
So like essential.
An attack on nerves. myelin, nerve sheathing, cartilage.
I had this athlete on yesterday who had to pull out because of an autoimmune disease, and
Pull
she
out
was
of
saying
what?
that the next competition,
Oh,
like the next series of competitions, and she was a high profile athlete, and so she was just like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I can't go on at this time. I need to get this under control." And one of the things she said is that she was on immune suppressants, and I had this I had this thought in my head, "Holy shit! Like that sounds fucking scary being on immune suppressants." Putting something in your body that would suppress your immune system. That sounds not good. Corey, sorry. Greg, I would have, if you call back, I'll answer. So you think it's diet related? You think the vaccine, could, because what it do you think vaccines, what they do to your immune system could have exacerbated? I didn't ask her if she was vaccinated. I wish I would have, if she would have got the COVID vaccine. I wonder if there's been an uptick in autoimmune diseases since the vaccine came out. Turbocharging the immune system, making it hyper reactive. She was a foreigner,
the
so I assumed she got it.
yeah, we're not done cataloging the downside of the vaccine, and it's ironic maybe that we're only going to get clear and trustworthy answers out of the insurance industry.
Mrs. Burns is primarily diet related.
Its diet plays such a large role, we won't know of what the contributing factors are outside of diet until diet can be addressed. So if you come to me with a diagnosis of lupus, MS, scleroderma, pick one, arthritis, you've got psoriasis, you know, make your list. And I look at your nutrition, your intake, and it's 5, 6, 7,000 calories a day based on largely high glycemic processed bullshit. Um, I don't want to speak to anything other than changing that, and let's see what happens to these other things.
Mm.
And the idea of treating medically or thinking of the of whether you're getting enough or too little, too much vitamin D or selenium, or fuck all that. Let's start with this. I'm fond of the example and have worked with it for decades. But like, you come to me with your car covered in mud and ask me if it needs painting. I'd like to take a hose and get some of the mud off and take a look.
Right. Right.
And to say, "Oh, your car looks like shit, you need a paint job." Like, I don't know, man. It's covered in mud. Maybe it doesn't. And eating like shit and having autoimmune disorder, I expect that. It's not like, "Oh, wow, yeah, and you also eat shitty." No, 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 no. You have these problems because you eat shitty. The Eads were really clear on this, and that they used to, like, "Whoa, your psoriasis went away." And 10 years later, they're thinking to themselves, "I bet the psoriasis goes away." And then it does. And 10 years after that, they're going, "Yeah, and your psoriasis will go away." Yeah,
And th
I don't think it makes sense to talk about autoimmune disorder outside of nutrition.
Oh, wow.
That's not new.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's strong.
It's like peeing on the beehive and wondering why you got your dick stung.
Right. You just chop the penis off if that happens. That won't happen
Well,
again.
call it healthcare. And your
Yeah.
gender's been affirmed. You're now a eunuch.
Science. Corey, curious to get y'all take. University of North Carolina Chapel Hill Board of Trustees just withdrew $2 million from DEI to invest in political safety initiatives. I saw that
And
I saw that.
MIT.
Yeah, and I saw Coors Light got rid of their DEI department. Dylan, what's up, man?
Hey.
Hey.
Is Greg still on?
Hold on, Greg. Are you still here?
It depends on the input here.
Yeah, depends on your question, your comment.
Well, I just wanted to touch on the the interview you did with the athlete who had the autoimmune thing going on.
Yeah.
It was more so the surrounding factors that shocked me. It stemmed from her knee that wasn't healing, and she didn't have a tear there, and then so they called it autoimmune. And then she got on the suppressant, a bunch of side effects.
Yeah, she said that. She said the doctor told her she did a box jump. She had a deep gash. Then she got an infection. And then she got on a heavy dose of antibiotics, and the doctor attributed her autoimmune disease to that. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. I just want to catch Greg up.
What I thought was possibly it's definitely a human trait, but potentially more dangerous than the immune suppressant was her relief in defense of the autoimmune suppressant and taking it. Her relief in her voice was palpable, and she, Sevi would throw a counter, and I thought, well, maybe not suppress your immune system, and she would defend it like it was her child. And that to me was more peculiar. I wonder if you have any thoughts on taking positions
like her commitment to the solution. You thought was too much.
It was reminiscent of someone on SSRIs.
What was the immunosuppressing drug?
I don't remember if she said. I don't remember if she said.
I don't think so.
But she did say it like, I think she said at one point it reduces your immune system by like 80%, makes you very susceptible to getting sick and feeling shitty.
Was it prednisone?
She did not say that. She did say, though, that it was the doctor in Dubai that had suggested that, as opposed to whatever doctor she was working with in the United States. J.R. Howell, I wonder if she tried Humira, commonly used for treatment of non-reactive rheumatoid. It's a monoclonal antibody that essentially binds to the protein usually present with increased inflammation. I think the antibiotics were something she took when Sean M is saying it was an antibiotic. I think it was antibiotics. She took a big old dose of antibiotics when they found that where she had done the box jump, she'd gotten a severe infection. But she said whatever she was on, she said it caused her to lose her hair.
And that's the thing. It's a peculiar. I mean, she at that point she sounded exhausted in her search to figure out what was wrong.
Yeah.
And then where she thought she found the solution, which doesn't appear to be a solution, but in her head it is, and so there's this big sense of relief. It's like a placebo, and so in that case, is it still effective? Like it kind of works for her head. It's like an SSRI. There's no evidence surrounding those at all, but if you talk to anybody who's on them or who has taken them and it got them out of a hole, well, there's some efficacy, I guess.
What's an SSRI? What's an SSRI?
Serotonin selective reuptake inhibitor.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yep.
Big words.
It's an antidepressant.
Yeah. Supposedly. The antidepressant is, maybe going for a walk outside or a jog and getting off the couch and getting moving, and maybe some nutritional factors and surrounding yourself with community is probably a good start.
Tyler,
Tyler
says high carb athlete diet is not healthy for these games people.
Correct.
I guess, and Greg's been saying
the problems with that fuel aren't improved by burning more of it. But I'd go back
A little
and
bit off topic.
While you were talking, I was wondering about what she was prescribed, and I wasn't aware of prednisone and hair loss, but I looked it up, and it is a routine side effect of prednisone. But I'm not going to say she's taking prednisone, but I can imagine it prescribed. And I also, I don't know if there isn't a side effect that I couldn't imagine that isn't associated with prednisone.
It has endless side effects.
It's knee-jerk prescribed, and very telling to me is I have 2 veterinary friends that will not use it in clinical practice anymore. Whatever's wrong with your dog, fuck them. I'm not giving you prednisone. Go to someone else for that. He said the incidence of post cycles of prednisone with carcinomas and sarcomas was so obvious that they could no longer in good conscience recommend it.
It decreases inflammation. That's the point of it.
It through the brain gives the immune system a vacation.
Hey, Greg, have you looked into CTE?
As a matter of fact, yes, oddly. And I think her name is Anne Rice. Is that the gal's name?
The author, Anne Rice?
No. What's the name of the lady that's done the postmortems on the NFL players?
Oh,
I think that's correct.
And it was interesting because I wanted to turn her on to our inside knowledge that football players are routinely going out onto the field hyponatremic, and that they're squeezing bags of what is fundamentally isotonic saline and hitting the field at like 130 milligrams per deciliter levels of sodium, which is dangerously low, and then add with that more fluids. And the etiology of hyponatremic encephalopathy is increased intracranial pressure, and it's got to be just the physics seems so solid to drop your sodium so low. We know that the mechanism of injury is increased intracranial pressure, and now taking that hyperpressurized intracranial vault and subjecting it to blows, the injury is what you'd expect. And we had just some great discussions. Met with her. I think you were there, Sevi, at the Four Seasons in DC. That's when that stalker chick came around too. Remember that?
Yeah.
Picked up on her ahead of our own crew, even realizing this fucking mutant kept coming around, and drug her out. But
she was a dentist. The stalker chick was a dentist, right?
A hot dentist.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want a hot dentist?
That was weird. We had a hot stalker dentist. Yeah. Anne McKee.
Yeah. What's funny is she got interested in CrossFit faster than we could interest her in our issues with football and hyperhydration.
I wonder if she's CrossFitting now.
What's that?
I said, go ahead.
Oh, Greg, is what you're referring to with their condition in which they took the field is coupled with the trauma to the head, the impact that allows, like, it opens the door for said CTE later on or whatever the case. Basically, what I'm asking is, I've been looking into it. I do MMA. I've done MMA for 10 years. I just struggle to where are the bodies? Like, I don't like and I'm too dumb to even understand what I'm researching, frankly. But I struggle with it where everywhere I've read, it seems that everybody's tying in that the impact is the problem. And my question is, certainly head trauma is not good for you per se. I think that's a no-brainer, no pun intended. But to me, it seems the lifestyle revolved around recovery from that head trauma. Do you know what fighters do after we get into the cage and fight? We party. I think that's more of a culprit of CTE. You just took you were in a car crash for 15 minutes, for 25 minutes, and then you got hammered drunk and stayed up until 4 a.m.
Dylan, are you saying that you're saying where the bodies, meaning that there's not like a disproportionate amount of gorked fighters, like at 70 years old, where are all the fucking gorked fighters, gorked football players? Like they just they parade around the ones like Muhammad Ali or the guy who the San Diego Chargers guy who fucking killed himself.
Yeah, they kind of use them as a prop. Like, hey, look how dangerous it is it smells fishy. And if I had to, bring my conspiratorial brain out, it's just a way to, get funded a ton of money for research where you're looking in the wrong place. Sounds like cancer research to me.
Does Kamala Harris have CTE?
1 second, I'm gonna grab something. That's funny.
Thank you. It's interesting, Dylan. Greg went way down the rabbit hole of people who overhydrate, like way down that. And there are people who've died, who've overhydrated just following the Gatorade guidelines for drinking fluids. And so, one of the theories he's putting out there is like, yeah, you fill your fucking body up with water, and it makes it so there's less room for your brain gets tight in the skull, and then you take impact, and it doesn't act as a buffer. It actually injures you. I've actually heard the opposite for fighters, right? They're supposed to be super hydrated because if they have a dehydrated brain, they get knocked out faster.
That's a theory. I don't know if there's any conclusive evidence to that, but it is suggested that these fighters cut 20 pounds the day before. They become extremely depleted of nutrients and hydration, which would suggest that your brain and all its necessary fluid is diminished as well. So your likelihood for lights to shut out for a few minutes seems to be higher. I don't know, though. I haven't looked in to see if anybody can prove that or what. And then now the overhydration thing seems maybe they could breach into that realm because they're trying to take on so many fluids to recoup from the weight cut. Maybe it's that.
Yeah, the etiology, the mechanism of injury in exercise-associated hyponatremic encephalopathy, which is basically you drink so much water, your brain, the pressure inside the intracranial vault either builds to such a level that just the blood supply is just clamped off. The brain just goes dark for instant death, or it will herniate into a sinus cavity, and so some of your brain popcorns into a place it shouldn't be, causing instant death. And in both cases, it's the osmotic gradient between the fluids consumed and what's needed to across the blood-brain barrier within the intracranial vault that creates these intracranial pressures. And absent any kind of concussive, percussive force, the brain will do that. And we know that for some teams, I'll name them, the Colts, for instance, talking to athletic trainers, they were all squeezing bags of fluid at 3% ringers, and that's fundamentally isotonic for 19 millimolar blood, right? And so they're going out onto the field, and our friend Sandra tested some of these fellas, and they were close to 130, which is right at that borderline of being hyponatremic. And in fact, at that level, if there's any kind of mentative symptoms at all, we call it an encephalopathy. And to think that that's the native state outside of concussive percussive forces, I don't know, man. It's kind of a no-brainer to me. If this were something I could invest in, I would spend money on it. If I could say that, hey, hardcore scientists at Raytheon are going to look into the issue of football head trauma, and they're exploring the angle of hypernatremic encephalopathy being a contributing factor. And if you put a $300,000 down, you can double your money if it turns out to be true. I'm in. Is the science there? Maybe not, but the physics is clearly there.
What's the difference between the science and the physics? What do you mean?
Well, I've got a conjecture.
Okay. It's not that it's not there. It just hasn't been done.
It needs a datum. There needs to be an experiment or something that needs to be a closer look. But common sense would tell me that there's fruit here. And the going after the helmet manufacturers, that's what I would expect for Gatorade's direction of the NFL to be. You think Gatorade's going to say, hey, I think our hyperhydration campaign has killed Zyrese Oliver? Did it? Did their hyperhydration campaign kill Zyrese Oliver? Of fucking course it did. And it wasn't a blow to the head that killed this student football player. It was hyponatremic encephalopathy caused by the belief that heat injury could be mitigated by hyperhydration. Even when he was passing out, he went to the ER 2 weeks before his death with many of the symptoms that preceded his eventual demise, and he was told he needed to drink more. His post-mortem showed 11 sites of IV and said that he had presented at the ER with classic signs of dehydration. And that's with a blood sodium of like 124. It was unbelievable. But I'm going on because in every instance, from coaches, players, mom and dad, first responders, hospital, and autopsy, we see this hyperhydration myth, this idea that there's some need for water beyond drink when you're thirsty, don't when you're not. That there's some prophylaxis against heat injury, against exhaustion, against cramping, all bullshit. If you were like your dog and when you were thirsty, you went to the toilet and got a drink and you didn't otherwise, you'd be ahead of the game from what you'd learn at the Gatorade Sports Science Institute or UCLA. I had to spend $3 million of my own money to come up with a scientific consensus statement that said, drink when you're thirsty, don't when you're not.
He was drinking to relieve himself of cramps.
That's correct.
Hey, these must have not been real doctors who told him he was dehydrated. Those must have been armchair doctors.
I mean, he was told that in an emergency room when he was rescued by paramedics. They ran IV. We used that case in part to get the Army to eventually make the decision that on anyone rendered mentative on RUCs, had mentative symptoms, disorientation, confusion, passing out, that kind of thing, any of that kind of stuff, they did blood sodium before they'd start an IV. That was a CrossFit effort that got that medical change throughout the armed forces. Could be very, very proud of that, but it costs a lot of money. So imagine spending $3 million to establish drink when you're thirsty, don't when you're not. And I said, we're going to spend $5 million to pee when you need to, don't when you don't. Inhale when you need to, don't when you don't. You could lose a war winning those battles at those costs.
Doesn't Europe have some sort of different guidelines than the United States that you can't have water stations?
They limit the number of hydration stations on marathons. You can legally only have so many.
As opposed to the US, you can have them along the whole route.
Oh, dude, you have to hire a whole entire garbage truck and a team of people to clean up the Gatorade debris from the hydration stations.
Matt Burns, Greg just said what would be the correct prescription, right? Drink when you're thirsty, don't when you're not.
Yes. Don't ever think about it, and you'll be fine.
Gentlemen, thank you. Greg, you're outstanding. You ruin my day always, every Wednesday, because I'm brain scrambled the rest of the day thinking about what all you gave to us that day, and I can't get anything done. So thank you.
It's very kind of you. Thank you.
And always remember, the cure for the world's most vexing problem is to brush with Matuthian.
Thank you. That is the truth. Finally, some science.
That is the truth. Take care, gentlemen.
Doesn't get simpler than that.
Weight loss, Matuthian. It's replacing testosterone replacement therapy. For those, so the sun's coming up in Hawaii.
Yeah, it's getting light.
4:30 a.m.
And the pregnant lady just got up.
No shit.
Yeah.
Where are you? Are you in the living room?
No, it's 5:30 here.
Oh, 5:30. Okay.
We're outside. We're in Poipu, fundamentally.
And
whereabouts? Kaloa. We're in Kaloa.
Is that on the opposite side of the island than Princeville?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever stayed on that side of the island? I mean, I know you used to live there, kind of in between the two.
No, we've not visited. Had friends here. You know, the trail run was kind of over this way, but our home was on the. I think that our home may have been the most eastern home on the island.
I think I remember
like when
that
we went
too.
out on the edge of the property and looked out into the water. If I looked to the north or the south, the coastline appeared to be west of us. So we were right on that promontory.
All right. Well, great show. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
Good variety of topics. You going to semifinals this weekend in France?
Oh, of course. I wouldn't miss the games for the life of me. You know, here's the greatest slur ever given the games was Brian Mulvaney referring to the whole thing as thruster races. And I just thought that was great somehow.
I will be covering the thruster races very closely this weekend. Hey, what are the chances? What do you think that you'll go out to? I know last year, it's a bit of a stretch to say you went to the CrossFit Games. You went to the CrossFit Games, but I know you spent most of your time either in the camp or in the affiliate lounge, and you probably never made it on to any observation.
Just like every year when I hosted the games, when I was running, I wasn't there to watch thruster races. I was there to talk to the people that wanted to tell me that what happened in their gym was entirely independent and irrelevant to the games. That's why I went to the games. I went to the games so that 10-year affiliates could tell me it wasn't important to their business.
Right. Those people there, though, I shouldn't say though, the people who go to the games are, I would say, mostly your people, meaning those people there, you've had a tremendous impact on their life. Fucking all of those people, whether they know it or not, you've had a tremendous positive impact on their life. And you could say you were the shepherd and they were the sheep or the lamb or whatever. And when you went there, did you have fun last year though? I know that you're not a kind of person who wants to get crowd adulation, but also I think they appreciate being able to still see you.
Everyone was wonderful. It was moving, it was touching, and I'm going to put a pretty good effort into not going back this year.
All right. I'm going to try to talk you into it. All right.
No, it's like I might look. We got a new baby coming, all kinds of shit.
Oh yeah, you do. Oh yeah, that's right.
I've got all my staff going on vacation and all my friends coming to visit while we're having a new baby, and I'm just not sure how that's going to work.
Yeah, how is that going to work? Does
I
Maggie like to be by herself after she has a baby?
I don't know, but giant crowds of people not there to help, and the people that are to help going on vacation is creating a little bit of a scenario.
Right. All right. Well, you let me know. I can be part of either crowd.
Good. I appreciate that. We'll be
All right.
fine.
Okay, and then I'm going to see you before though you make the trek to Coeur d'Alene. You'll come
Yeah,
back.
and I want to tell you, I remember you had some conflicted dates on that Axopar delivery to Santa Cruz.
Oh yeah.
I thought we got back on the 4th. We leave on the no. I thought we got back on the 3rd. We leave on the 3rd, but don't come back till the 4th. So I needed to change that date from the 5th to the 6th. So the Axopar dates are 6 to 10. And Bruce said even 7 to 10 would be better. Or 6 to 9, 7 to 10 would be better of June.
So that there can be sort of an assessment of the boat.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm unpacking from Kauai and packing for Coeur d'Alene via Santa Cruz and moving the boat. So
God, that sounds. How many stops between San Diego and Santa Cruz? Like overnight stays.
We're gonna do it in 4 days, and that's a leisurely pace.
Where was the place we stopped when we were on scooters on the Vespas? Was it Avila?
Yeah.
Are we stopping there again?
I would like to. I'm going to look at the map, but Newport should be on the list. Santa Barbara for sure. Morro Bay.
Yeah. Heidi Krim Sevon can breastfeed babies. That's for sure.
Okay. Hi, Heidi.
All right, I'm gonna go shave my head and shave some heads.
Really? Is that what are you going to use for that?
Just I got this just this one of those razors from Amazon where you put the blades on there.
Yeah.
And yesterday I shaved as soon as I got home from tennis after I saw them, I shaved them with the 3. Now I'm gonna shave all of us with a 1. I'm gonna let the boys shave my head.
Are they into it?
Yeah, they're totally into. They don't even care. Do you know what I mean? Like other parents are like trying to hide the fact that their kids have lice in their hair. My kids don't even care. They're like, oh, we got lice. How fun! Let's shave our head. You know what I mean? They don't. They're just boys.
If you watch the South Park episode Licecapades, you learn the origins of all lice outbreaks.
Oh, should I let them watch it or will it damage them?
I would let them watch it. But at the end, spoiler alert, it turns out that they all have their origins from Angelina Jolie's Snatch.
Oh, geez.
That's the source of all lice globally. So well done.
Lucky Camera Straps just got to Austin, Texas from Australia and dropped into CrossFit Central. Thanks again for recommendations, Sevon. Hi, Greg. Oh, yeah. Jeremy Thiel's gym. That's cool.
Yeah. Make sure you tell him I said hey.
All right, dude. Thank you. I'll talk to you later on today.
So welcome. Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you next Wednesday. Greg Glassman, founder of CrossFit, creator of CrossFit, purveyor of CrossFit. Brandon Waddell. Greg knowing South Park makes my day. I know, isn't it crazy? I think he knows the guys too. Those guys got rich. Like stupid rich. This girl, Rebecca, that I met on Instagram is going to the European semifinals. And so I exchanged text messages with her, phone numbers with her so that I could get just any information. If anyone's there and wants to send me pictures or little short videos, by short I mean like less than 20 seconds or just stuff, do that and I'll play them on the air. I'll show stuff, you know what I mean? Since I'm not going there. So anyone who wants to be a correspondent for the show, it's really cool this chick Rebecca did that. I love people who take initiative like that. Let's see. Okay. Saturday, 9 a.m., Kill Taylor. Me, Pedro, from Coffee Pods and Wallets. Tyler Watkins from the Heat One app. Andrew Hiller from BIRTHFIT. Taylor Self from Sentinel Training. We'll all be getting at it. We'll open up the phone lines. The reason why Greg was telling me those dates about the boat, basically he has a boat and he's driving his boat up from San Diego to Santa Cruz. And he's like, hey, you should come with me. We're going to stop along the coast and hang out and just have fun. And I really want to do it. But the 8th of June is a Saturday. And so if I get on the boat on Friday the 7th, how would I do Kill Taylor on the 8th? Oh, man. It's just... I keep getting invited to do all this cool shit. I guess I shouldn't complain. I was going to be a whiny little bitch for a second. I get invited to do all this cool shit that I fucking not sure if I can do because my life's fucking so fucking cool. I don't want to go do it. Fuck that. Go on the boat. Here's the thing, man. That show, that Kill Taylor show, I can't tell you how fucking excited I am about it. I think it is the Taylor is what makes Kill Taylor for sure. I agree. What you're saying, like fuck me, like you don't even need to be there, Sevy. Just make sure Taylor shows up. You're probably right. I think I was thinking yesterday. Obviously, well, I won't even talk about why Taylor's so amazing, but I mean, he's the perfect storm for it. But I think I was trying to think of all the media that's ever come out of CrossFit, and I think it's by far, I don't even think there's a second place, the most engaging media for people who might not be CrossFitters. And that's what's so wild about it. And you're absolutely right. It's Taylor that makes the show. It's all Taylor. Oh, do the show on Thursday. Brian Clark, how the fuck Taylor get killed? Yeah. Here's the thing. What's so cool about our sport, right? He's going to lose on the regular. I don't know if it's going to be once a month or once every 3 months, but that's the thing. No one can be undefeated in CrossFit. So that's like, no matter how much we rig the shit, like he's going to get beat. That's just the nature of it. Arm wrestling was like that too. Even the best guys in the world, somewhat like everyone's going to get beat. Or fighting, the UFC, like everyone's going to get beat. It's just when. I think I saw someone making fun of me. Oh, Daniel Garrity. If Sevy's not there, who's going to yell he's on pace when he's clearly not on pace? Yeah. I mean, I have my role. Oh, Jesus. Did you just say, Audrey, I have to go to Hobby Lobby for tie-dye. Oh, that's fun. I should do tie-dye with my kids. Sevy, do you hate tie-dye? I hate tie-dye. Even when I was a dirt twirling hippie, I hated tie-dye. But making them's fun. There was last week was the first workout a girl could win and no girl went, right? There was actually a girl that we had queued up. I could see her waiting in the waiting room. But then that dude Matthew won it. So That was out the door. That didn't last long. What is today? Today's Wednesday, garbage day? I hope I took the garbage out. Dude, Andrew sent me the funniest thing yesterday. I wonder if he's going to make a video of it. God, he sent me the funniest thing. That fucking dude is so creative. It was so funny. That's a little self-serving for me to say. He took this. Do you remember when I had the girl on yesterday with the fucking titties? This girl. Do you remember this bit yesterday? And then she said that line in this video. She's like, hey, what do you, basically this girl came out of a college class at a liberal arts college, and there was a guy there holding a Trump sign, and she kicked or punched the Trump sign and tore a hole in it. So they called the cops on her, and she's getting charged with like destruction of property. And her response to the guy is like, hey, dude, that's your fault because you were standing in front of a liberal arts college with a Trump sign. That's like saying if you're running through the park in a bikini and you get raped, it's your fault, right? And so she goes on to say, hey, like that's, that sign's going to incite like violence. And as she was saying that, I noticed she's wearing this fucking crazy tight shirt with hard nipples and these crazy titties. And I was like, I wonder what she thinks her shirt will incite. How about the ugly friend in the middle? Look, it's 3 girls, one with like a sports bra that's probably too small and 4 inches of cleavage showing. This other girl with 2 hot chicks, and then just a fucking chick that just got cracked with the ugly stick. Yeah, her tits burned a hole in my brain. Anyway, Andrew took a clip from that and is doing something so funny with it. I couldn't even believe it. A designated ugly friend. It's called a duff. Oh. Oh, would that chick have beaten Matthew? I don't know. But you know what's crazy is I contacted that dude, Matthew, and I was like, hey, dude, let me know if you get paid. I can't imagine you actually getting paid. And he got paid. He got the $1,500. Everyone paid him. I was like, shit. Fuck, we're like almost like a real show. We got graphics. We got shit that's like on Instagram. We're 3 weeks in. People like Corey Pulido throwing cash at the show. We got sponsors for like the next fucking 20 weeks. People are just lining up to support it. It's so cool, man. It is so fucking funny. Yeah, I'm not missing one of those. The more you guys tell me I'm irrelevant to the show, the more I'm fired up never to miss one. Yeah, you guys send money. I love that part because I get some of that money. I like that part. Well, I would hope he would get paid. Yeah, hope and actually getting paid is like different. This is seat of your pants operation, buddy. The one in Carson will be insane. Yeah. On Saturday. JR, do we have a place for that? Hey, if you guys don't know, also, JR and Taylor will be doing and Will Branstetter will be doing a live show from Carson twice a day. And there's a chick there named Kenzie who's in charge of like making sure all that shit works. And me and Will were chatting with her yesterday, and it sounds like the show's like we're gonna have up to an hour. They're gonna let us they're gonna start us like 50 minutes before each event starts, and those 3 will go. I won't be on the show. I'll be filming behind the scenes. I kind of want to show you guys something that I made for Matt Souza, and Matt Souza will be there. You guys want to see something really quick? Most of you guys are gonna be like, we don't give a shit, but I'll show you anyway. Hold on. Let me see. Let me run just like a quick commercial while I get up and get this shit. Hold on. Let me see my Matuthian commercial if it's in here. This will take me like 15 seconds to get. Do I have a Matuthian commercial? Wheelwad, Born Primitive, Heat One app, Countdown, L1 commercial, Sevon podcast, Adapt or Die. What's that? Swolverine, Mitch Wagner. I don't see my What the fuck? What the fuck? Where's my... Oh, shit. Let me see what the fuck's going on. I don't see my Matoothian commercial uploaded in StreamYard. Watch. If I complain enough, I'll see Will pop up on the back end and fix it for me in real time. He won't even say anything. He'll just come on here and fix it sometimes while I'm bitching. What's this? Hold on. Let me see. I need to see this. Hold on one second. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, I'll play that. I'll play that while I don't even know what that is, but it's Roman at the games. Let me see. Let me hide this comment first. Roman. Okay, Roman 2. Okay, I'll play this while I'll be right back.
Roman puts on an exploration shot.
Nuts.
Do Russians have emotions?
No, you're right. Never mind.
I forgot all about that. Oh, by the way, so the CA Peptide site will be up soon. They've had to move their shit all around. If you do want peptides, you can go to contact@capeptides.com and send them a email. So check this out. If you're not a camera geek, you can just leave. But I made this for Sousa. These are 2 Osmo 3s. You turn them on by just turning the screens like this. And they have little sun hoods on them, see? And then you film, and you have 2 cameras that are on gimbals. Both these cameras are on gimbals, meaning the shots will be perfectly smooth. Pretty cool, right? But I haven't shown you the cool part. Why would he use those, right? The reason why he'd use these is I have these little tiny mics. And you put these on the athletes. And so you can hang this on a necklace. You can stick it fucking anywhere on the athlete. It has magnets. You can hang it. They have necklaces. You can do anything you want with them. You can stick this mic anywhere you want. I could tape it to his fucking forehead. And so we can mic up athletes, as many athletes as we want, so that are on the floor during the event. And I don't know if that's ever been done. I know in the past at the games, CrossFit's had some issues with that, miking athletes, but we're in a different world now. Great. That was my phone number. But basically, it's pretty cool, right? Yeah, this is dope. I just put this together. And then you can fold this in and you can hold it like this also. And so basically the images that these cameras get won't matter too much, but Sousa will be there and we can just be like, hey, mic up Taylor, mic up Colton. And then right as they take the field, if they're willing to be mic'd, that shit's going to be next level, man. Now, where do I put this? So I'm pretty pumped. I built that last night, came into my office in the middle of the night. All right. 2 cameras for 2 mics. Yeah. Or you could do 4 mics. Each camera could have 2 mics each. I actually got 4 of these Osmos. I have actually 4 of these things. I just built this one. Then the other ones I just left like solo. And I ordered a shitload of these mics. I ordered like 4 of these. Yeah, the behind the scenes in Carson's going to be crazy. Yeah. Lucky Camera, you can use 2 DJI wires as mics with each. The reason I have those too, but I just like these because they're so little, right? Excuse me. You can stick it anywhere, as Judy Reed would say. All right. Today's Wednesday. Oh, we have a show tonight. We have a CrossFit Games update show tonight at 6:30. That's awesome. All right, so that'll be me, John Young. I think J.R. Howell will be here. Taylor, no, not Taylor. J.R. Howell will be here. Hiller will be here. It'll be maybe even more people than that. It'll be a pretty big cast. We'll talk about European semifinals. It'll just basically be free for all. It'll be wild. Maybe we'll go earlier, so you should watch the times. Maybe we'll go earlier. All right, thanks, guys. Great show. Taking over spins time. Taking over spins time. I don't know what that means. Taking over spins time. I don't know what that means. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.